Good evening and welcome to Newsx. I am Devika Devan and our focus right now for the next 1 hour will be very exciting because we're focused on Bihar. Ladies and gentlemen, Bihar will be voting in 2 phases to elect its next assembly with 121 seats going to polls on the 6th of November and the remaining 122 seats going to polls on the 11th of November. The counting of votes for all 243 constituencies will take place on the 14th of November, and we do expect that you will be tuning into Newsx because here we bring you information that truly matters. Ultimately, in an election, it boils down to one thing and one thing only, and that is numbers. So without further ado, let me now take our viewers through what the exit polls have predicted so far for Bihar. Let's put out the exit polls on our screens for our viewers. Number 1, we're looking at numbers for JVC. Remember, total seats in Bihar 243, halfway mark is 122. That's the magic number parties need to win Bihar 2025. JVC predicts 70 to 81 seats for the BJP, 69 to 78 for the RJD, 42 to 48 for the JDU, 9 to 17 for the Congress, and they're expecting Prashant Kishor to win 1 seat, the others at 8 to 10. That's the prediction. LJP at 5 to 7. So JVC is predicting that somewhere the parties will maintain their numbers from last time. Let's move on to the next agency and its predictions. We're looking at INAS and Matrize. They're expecting the BJP to get 80 to 85 seats. So they're expecting BJP to gain some seats this time around. What they're gaining, they're predicting the RJD is losing, and the RJD is predicted to get 60 to 65 seats. The JDU, as per INAS and Matrize, is going to make huge gains in this particular election at 60 to 65 seats. The Congress maintains anywhere between 7 to 10 seats. The LJP at 4 to 6. Prashant Kishor expected to get 2 to 5 seats and others at 7 to 10. Let's now move on to the next agency. Lok Poll is predicting anywhere between 105 to 114 seats for the NDA. So that's the alliance, BJP, JDU and others. The Mahagathbandhan at 118 and 126 and others at 2 to 5. Remember, Mahagathbandhan is the RJD and the Congress mainly. What's interesting is that Lok Poll is actually expecting the Mahagathbandhan to win this election in 2025. They are predicting a victory for the Mahagathbandhan and a defeat for the NDA. That's where it gets really interesting. But they're still predicting that somewhere one of the parties will have to rely, one of the alliances will have to rely on the others to reach that halfway mark of 122 if either one of them gets either 114 for the NDA or 118 for the Mahagathbandhan. Let's now move on to the next set of numbers that we have for our viewers. Dainik Bhaskar predicting an emphatic victory there for the NDA, 142 to 145. They're predicting for the NDA alone. The Mahagathbandhan losing, as per Dainik Bhaskar, this time between 81 to 91 seats and others at 11 to 13. So they're expecting the NDA to really sweep this election as far as previous results are also concerned and comparisons are concerned. Now let's bring out the next set of the most critical numbers, which is the poll of polls, where we take out the mean, the average of what all the predictions in the market today are. The poll of polls for Bihar 2025 predicts a victory for the NDA at 135 seats, the Mahagathbandhan at 97 and others at 11. Why is this relevant? Because in 2020, viewers, the NDA had 125 seats, so they barely made it. They won, but they barely made it. The Mahagathbandhan had 110 seats and others had 8. So the poll of polls this time predicts a 10-seat gain for the NDA, a 13-seat loss for the Mahagathbandhan and a 3-seat gain for the others. So what the Mahagathbandhan, the 13 seats the Mahagathbandhan are predicted to lose, are clearly going to the NDA and to the others, meaning that most polls today are predicting a very clear victory for the NDA, which is the BJP and the JDU along with others. I now open up this conversation, always a very interesting conversation to have. We have with us Bipin Sharma, political analyst, Varun Singh, senior journalist, Priya Sehgal, editorial director of Newsx, and Sanjay Kapoor, political analyst, with us on the broadcast. Let me begin this conversation with Priya Sehgal. Priya Sehgal, your first thoughts on the poll of polls and generally the assumption that the NDA will manage to continue its winning streak as far as Bihar is concerned.
That's a very interesting word you use, Devika, manage, because the NDA really is in the business of managing elections rather than winning them. So in that sense, I do think, yes, they will manage, whether it is through the, the last minute blitzkrieg poll narrative and the organization on the ground, the way they, the election machinery that they have going for them. But we must say the Mahagathbandhan is putting up an extremely good fight. And then in terms of narrative, in terms of the campaign, in terms of the, with Rahul Gandhi setting it off with this election vote chori yatra, then Tejashwi Yadav picked up the steam and he's focusing on local issues on this Har Ghar Sarkari Naukri. That has really worked out well on the ground from what I'm hearing. Of course, the NDA took off on the Mahila vote, the women vote. So it's been a very interesting election. And the Prashant Kishor factor is also very interesting because, I assume he's in the others and in some polls have actually given him the numbers. Not very much, which is not surprising. This is his first election. But the amount of headlines he managed to get and in terms of narrative setting, it almost as if he was the third big player in the election. So he's managed to make a huge entry. We thought he would be a spoiler. I mean, no one thought he'll win outright. But his role as a spoiler also seems, if going by these numbers, your poll of polls, then it's really Prashant Kishor's, we didn't expect him to win, but he's the kind of, he's really been marginalized and I don't see him playing, a greater role as he would have liked to post-election. So it should be a blow for him. He himself said, I will get, Arshpe of Arshpe either less than 0 or I'll get more than 125. I think that is an election post. Let's see how he works on the ground. But if these numbers are true, then that would come as a blow for him. In terms of the NDA, I would also, I'm a little surprised at the numbers given to the JDU. I mean, that means there is a huge sympathy vote for Nitish Kumar. Chirag Paswan seems to have not, if these numbers are right again, Chirag Paswan hasn't done as well as he would have liked to. So there are a lot of people whose careers are going to be made or rather unmade in these elections. Tejashwi Yadav still doing well, I would say, Devika. I'll come more of it later.
Okay. Let me quickly bring in Bipin Sharma on the Prashant Kishor factor. And let's address it quickly because Bipin Sharma ultimately, in elections, numbers speak, right? Nobody cares whether you're making headlines or not. Ultimately, are people coming out and voting for you? That's what matters. So I want to understand from your perspective, do you feel that Prashant Kishor will be able to convert those headlines into any sort of numbers, or is he still in the very nascent stages as far as fighting elections on your own is concerned? It's one thing when you're sitting and strategizing for other political parties, but it's another ball game altogether when you enter the fray yourself.
I think you've said it, you've actually stated everything, because he's a master strategist, no denying the fact, and what role he played in Narendra Modi becoming the Prime Minister and BJP getting thumping majority. So that is also, well-known fact. But then, now jumping into the electoral fray and then whether he'll be able to make an impact, that of course, it will be only known on November 14th. But the larger point here is that even if he manages to win few seats, that also can make a huge difference, because we should not forget what happened in 2020. The contest went to the wires. So till the last moment, nothing was clear. So now this election also, while the different agencies are predicting a clear-cut victory for the NDA front, but then I think we should be patient enough, because there are plethora of issues. And then you always learn from your past mistakes, because let us not forget Tejashwi Yadav, he has this taint of Jungle Raj, which that baggage which he is carrying. So an intelligent person is one who learns from the past follies, blunders. So if the introspection, some work has been done on that front, plus how he has been able to address the Anant Kumar Singh factor, because Mokama constituency has a very critical bearing on a lot of other assembly constituencies. So that whether that also will make an impact on the voters of Bihar, that again time will determine. But there are many issues which the voter will bear in mind when they go out to vote on 6th and 11th, the two phases. First, of course, the migration issue, and then the caste-based politics, because till date, the muscle power, the money power is reigning supreme. That is an irony for Bihar. We might, make tall assertions, and then all the politicians going to the rallies making tall claims, but then the grim veracity still remains. So the migration part, the migration issue, the infrastructure development, what all has happened on ground zero. So all this will eventually translate into votes, and then of course I think it's going to be a watershed moment. And why do I say watershed moment? Because this will have a direct impact on how NDA fares in the center. Because if we compare BJP with Congress, Congress is known to keep the allies in good humor, whereas BJP is still, because there are speculations doing the rounds whether the faith will be reposed on Nitish Kumar, though all the top brass continues to say that Nitish will be the CM. Of course, the CM, he's being projected as the CM. But then
Yes.
It also sends a clear-cut message to the other ally partners, because BJP on its own has 240. So all this can make a huge difference, and 2026 is going to be quite critical. So the Bihar elections will definitely play an important factor, and Nitish Kumar, you can never write off any politician.
Okay, all right. I want to bring in Sanjay Kapoor then on the Nitish Kumar question there. Sanjay Kapoor, barring one of the poll predictions, largely all the agencies are predicting most of the political parties to actually maintain their previous numbers, let's say of the past election itself. A few gains here and there for the BJP and the JDU predicted, and the loss then goes to the RJD. If that remains true, ultimately it boils down to whether Nitish Kumar is going to come back as the Chief Minister of Bihar or not. Your thoughts on the same, that are we expecting, because if the NDA is winning, obviously Nitish Kumar is coming back. But if the Mahagathbandhan does win, do you feel that there is any space for them to convince a Nitish Kumar?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me to speak on this show. I kind of agree with whatever Priya has said. BJP ends up managing the elections. They hardly won. They managed it last time. Even before that, in the early election, when they kind of bombed, actually, everybody predicted that BJP is going to win, and they did not do very well. And even reputed pollsters like Mr. Pranay Roy got it extremely wrong. So this time Mr. Pranay Roy is saying that in the last 10-15 years since the polling started in Bihar, nobody got it right. The poll of polls hasn't got it right. So nothing is right. So having said that, so we have to, the jury is still out what really happens. Whatever one knows, Bihar wants change. They have had enough of Mr. Nitish Kumar, despite the fact that he's the only one who enjoys some kind of goodwill amongst the upper caste, and those people who don't want Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav or his politics, which will flow out from his son, Tejashwi, to come back and haunt them. And that is the reason why Mr. Nitish Kumar will come. It also shows the paucity in the imagination of the BJP that they could not find anybody. They have a number two, somebody who's so dodgy in terms of his past, in terms of whatever, Mr. Samrat Chaudhary. So they have to rely back on Mr. Nitish Kumar, and it's eminently possible that he might come back to power, but that is not going to come easy, because what I hear from people on the ground, this is a different election altogether. Even the Congress, despite its failings, has been able to put up a coherent show. They have been able to put, serve as a glue between the Mahagathbandhan. And if you remember the vote Adhikar Yatra, the kind of thundering and the response that they got from the people showed that, there is something that is happening on the ground, which many of the posters, which all very dodgy, are not able to get anything.
Okay. Varun Singh, your thoughts on the same. As far as the Nitish Kumar question is concerned, Is he expecting now a fifth term, perhaps, as CM of Bihar?
To be very honest, I have few points to make. Answering to your question, yes, Nitish Kumar is expecting a fifth term, and whatever we see on the ground, and except for that one particular poll that you said, Lok Poll, they got horribly wrong the Maharashtra elections, they got horribly wrong the Jharkhand elections. They have got most of their previous polls have been, they have failed in that. So I do not take their word. But rest of the poll, if you talk about JVC and others, yes, they whatever they have said in the last elections, they have come true. So they have certain grounds. If you see the Lok Poll, they take a sample size of 2,000 people and then they come out with these figures. It is there on their own Twitter. So I need not say that. Except for one thing, of everything that Sanjay Kapoor said, I would disagree with about Congress being coherent. If Congress was so coherent, it wouldn't have had its leaders fighting on the airport for tickets and all. I didn't see any other political party fighting over there. Talking about Prashant Kishor, right now I see Prashant Kishor as at a cusp of Arvind Kejriwal and Raj Thakre. He does come out as a very, a coherent speaker like Arvind Kejriwal, but like Raj Thakre, who could gather the crowd at his sabhas but couldn't manage to win seats. So he is at that cusp. Probably this election will show and prove to us what exactly is going to happen to his future and Jan Suraj. It is making noise, but it isn't making that enough a noise to win elections right now. And one more thing, why I don't know, I hear from people in Bihar. I have many friends over there. I have many people over there. And one factor everyone wants to disassociate over here is about Tej Pratap Yadav. He might not win elections, but he is a brother who has been thrown out of the house. In India, in homes, it is something that is discussed very closely, that throwing away a brother from his own house, who's an elder brother, does have an impact. It may not have a very huge impact, but at certain points you do see. And that is what, when you saw in Maharashtra, when Raj Thakre and Uddhav Thakre came together, in spite of warring for such a long time, the emotions of people, we have this emotion, we want to see two warring brothers coming together. And when we see them fighting, it does have an impact on elections. And that is the reason in previous examples made by Raj Thakre, made by other brothers, sisters, they have always had an impact in elections. And I believe that Tej Pratap might be able to dent, not heavily, but to an extent, Tejashwi Yadav. And BJP I don't agree with Priya managing elections. BJP is someone who understands elections. They fight election in a way, they are 24/7, election running machine, which knows what has to be done, what has to be said. And that is the reason if you hear the Prime Minister over there, or Amit Shah over there, or Nitish Kumar to be for that example, and the way Samrat Chaudhary, the allegations on his age, the way it died down slowly, and it couldn't have much of an impact as it was expected. They know how to manage controversies, but they know how to win elections. So BJP and JDU and LJP. One more thing, there have been a certain a bit of talk about Chirag Paswan. Chirag Paswan is a hit amongst the youth. And he crosses different levels.
Yes.
He's not a hit amongst his own community or caste, but even in the OBCs and even in the SC/STs, except for the Nishad, if you talk to people over there, Mukesh Sahani being declared as the deputy CM, his community is happy, but the rest of the OBCs, but the rest of the communities which also forms the OBCs and the SC/ST, they are still strongly with NDA, and that is going to impact the
But Varun Singh, the same can be also said for a Tejashwi Yadav. And secondly, is that popularity really translating into votes as far as Chirag Paswan's LJP is concerned? I'll bring in Priya Sehgal in on this as well, but your thoughts?
To be very honest, Tejaswi's 2 crore jobs has not been able to connect with the people of Bihar. You're telling Biharis, jo bachpan se tayari, the word is tayari. If you talk to someone in Bihar who has done his 8th, 10th, after that the word is tayari. And tayari for what? Government jobs. They know how many government jobs are there in the state, and they keep on trying, doing that tayari for years. So that 2 crore jobs has not actually gone down well with them. They know that it is being fooled. They are being fooled with that, because they know that kind of number of jobs is not available. Tejaswi may be popular amongst the Yadavs, because beyond that, if you see, he doesn't have much of a popularity. Yes, what may impact to the JDU and BJP, that in many of the constituencies, they have fielded candidates from upper caste, and that basically is dividing the upper caste Brahmin and Kshatriyas. There are many seats where there is a Brahmin candidate and the Kshatriyas feel like they do not want to vote for them. And that is happening. But you can't take out caste from Bihar's politics. But Tejashwi is not popular as, Tejashwi might be popular, but Chirag is making a dent over there.
Okay, Priya Sehgal, your thoughts on the same, that Tejashwi is popular. Chirag Paswan, I mean, if the pollsters, are to be believed, his party is not really making as much of a dent as he would have also liked to, because ultimately in Bihar, we can see somewhere, even if it's not a sweeping victory for the BJP or the RJD, it'll ultimately boil down to someone who has those 9 seats that they can borrow, 5 seats that they can borrow and come up with that victory alliance. But Priya Sehgal, your thoughts firstly on Tejashwi Yadav as well. We've asked a question on Newsx, is the Congress somewhere bringing him down?
Okay, before we go into the Congress and Tejashwi, I just want to answer Varun's objections to my comments on managing elections. Let's take a look at what the BJP did for the women vote. I mean, just before the elections, you've been in power for 15 years, BJP for at least 5 years with Nitish Kumar. You come out and you say 10,000 bucks in your pocket just on the election eve. That's when you remember. And whose money are they giving? Yours and mine. BJP with Modi's face. But it's the taxpayers' money that they give. I mean, Prashant Kishor has called it a bribe, and I must agree with him. I have to agree with him. What happened in Maharashtra? What happened? Yes, these are very clever gimmicks, because that's what makes you win the election of the last women. I was in Madhya Pradesh on the eve of Diwali. Women who had already got 2 fractions that money, they were spending money, they were happy, it's buying votes, it's bribery by any other way, all these welfare schemes. What are you doing actually for the upliftment for women? And in Ajit Pawar came after Maharashtra when he became finance minister. He said, "Paise ka?" In February, I met him soon after the elections, and he was there at Praful Patel's house at a lunch, and he was saying, "I don't have the money to deliver the next tranche of the Ladli Behna, Ladki Behna." So, all these promises that are made, gimmicks, and then you don't follow it up. There is, and last minute you remember that women need something. That's what I meant by management, managing headlines, managing narratives. It is management, and well, people seem to believe it, and they are getting the votes. It's good management, but it is management at the end of the day. Terms of Chirag Paswan versus Tejashwi Yadav, I think Chirag Paswan is also playing the role that perhaps Prashant Kishor was planning to play. He will be an enabler or a spoiler. Nothing beyond that. He, of course, wants to see himself as the next chief ministerial apparent. We are also seeing a very interesting cusp of change. Bihar, where we are seeing the legacy of Nitish and, for an extent, Lalu. The old guard is now over, and now the new ones are jostling. There is the Tejashwi Yadav, there is the Prashant Kishor, there is the Samrat Chaudhary, there is Chirag Paswan. So the next rung has come up, and they are jostling for space, elbow space, of which Tejashwi Yadav has the edge, because he, of course, is the head of the, one of the biggest party, regional party amongst the others. So he has an advantage. He's also a deputy CM. So is Samrat Chaudhary. But we all know BJP CMs mein kitna hota hai to show your own leadership mantle. You're just, taking orders from above. But Tejashwi is his own man in that sense. So Tejashwi's trajectory is very interesting. People say this is a make or break election for him. It's an important election, not a make or break, because Tejashwi has, a lot of mileage left in him. But yes, this would be, if he nearly makes it, and if these numbers are right, it would be a disappointment for Tejashwi. It would mean that his rhetoric for change or youth or whatever he's saying is not giving it the final push that he would have hoped for. So it would be disappointed if these, I'm just going by the poll of polls, I'm not questioning their veracity, since today we are discussing. But I would also, say that I would not 100% give, I would say NDA has the edge, because NDA ends up winning the elections. But in terms of election campaign, mood on the ground, I think Tejashwi is giving an extremely good fight, as I said earlier. Chirag Paswan is just positioning himself. He is an opportunist. He's trying to see where he can best fit in and, take a win, because he's seeing it also with Nitish winning. Probably he's going to be, looking at the JDU for his, building his own party and his own base. He's hoping to attract the JDU soon to his camp. So he will be playing some kind of a positioning game at the end of the day. Fight really is between Tejashwi Yadav and the BJP, not even, and of course Nitish Kumar. Sorry, let's give Nitish Kumar his due. It has some traction on the ground. The election is being fought on his track record. So there is fight is also between JDU, NDA versus Tejashwi Yadav. Really, I would say that, with Chirag playing the role of a enabler, spoiler, jaise bhi aap dekh sakte ho usko. But end of the day, it's really the battle of the Gen Next, which I find very, very interesting in Bihar, for that, in keeping that in mind.
Yes, hopefully, once the results are out, we can have a slightly different different conversation about Bihar this time around. It's not only going to be about religion and caste and politics, but ultimately, or rather unfortunately, as we've seen even in the run-up to the elections, that's been a major focus for Bihar this time around as well. On that note, I've run out of time, but I thank all of our analysts for joining us to give their perspective on the poll of polls, which I've stated before, are predicting a clear victory for the NDA. We leave it there.